So we have come a long way since 31 years since the IASCE began. We educators we think about learning, classrooms, and schools differently since cooperative learning, first on the educational scene about 30 years ago. Not all of these changes are because of cooperative learning, but we can definitely say and definitely point to the impact of cooperative learning. In my way of thinking, cooperative learning is more of a good indicator of how far we've come in education reform. So for schools and universities to move beyond that, what we call a transmission modes of learning, for more complex knowledge-building practices that engage the many learners under our care. But we have more work to do. And, of course, to realize that full potential of cooperative learning. But it's considered as existing everywhere in the schools and reform efforts around the world, in many places. This is very interesting. It's accepted as kind of what I call household language, it's something we're all familiar with. So let's take a look about what is the promise of cooperative learning. And I'd like to chat quickly about the opportunities for the future, because I think collaborative professional development, the thing actually that this organization historically has been leader in, understanding the ways to work, is really the key, and there's some very exciting things on the front, as you just mentioned, the working together to build that social capital. There's a new movie out in the United States called Waiting for Superman. Well, it's a documentary about the terrible state of American schools. And once again, Hollywood got it wrong. It basically promotes the idea that what we need are a lot of bright, capable individuals to become teachers. And they'll save the system. Well, we know that just is not so. It's a misguided idea because it's really the organization and the systems and the design that are challenged, not necessarily the individual. Sometimes, yes. So the research has finally caught up with what the IASCE membership has known for 30 years, and that is that the quality of the local professional community in the school is tightly associated with students. And this is a significant major shift. I'm going to mention just one because I've been looking at, for me, professional development is the heart of collaborative and cooperative learning. Without that, without people developing that social capital, we can't sustain it. So I've been looking at exemplars, things that are really going well. So I asked these questions about professional development. Some schools develop a local professional knowledge base to their teachers. And once educators built their social capital for cooperative learning, they were able to do that. What if teachers were encouraged to make local adaptations to innovation, but were also expected to understand why they were doing what they were doing and how it affected student learning? Find what if teachers worked collaboratively with one another and studied their own teaching? Well, this is happening. It's happening, interestingly enough, and the reason I selected this example because it's happening in Japan. And I am just really learning about it through my experiences in Singapore, but it is an extremely enviable professional development approach. And it is probably the reason the Japanese are doing so well in math and science, why they excel. But I'm just going to mention a few principles, because some of the things that are happening here are the things we know about really good professional development, but it doesn't always occur. But it's happening in Japanese lesson studies. Who knows about Japanese lesson studies here? Good. Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes. Well, I'm inviting you all to learn about it along with me. Unfortunately, we don't have a session on it. But in this particular practice, teachers do not work alone on single lessons. They work together to create the lessons. They observe one another teaching the lessons. and they focus on selected students when they observe in order to see how they're thinking and what they're doing. Sensitivity and analysis. And they, over the course of a year, the teachers basically conduct about 10 of these lessons and are part of a continuous cycle of improvement directed by the teachers themselves. And these processes build collegiality and the local knowledge base that can be used to support effectiveness as it relates to learning. In other words, these educators are expected to craft a set of practices that work locally and that are tightly connected to other elements in the local situation. So I always think, gosh, cooperative learning can easily be part of this, but it really would be part of what we call pathways. So the Japanese instructional lesson system, cooperative learning isn't happening in isolation. It's intricately connected to these 7 areas. So the teachers are thinking about how they're becoming better, improving their subject matter, what they're learning about instruction, how they're getting better at their instruction. They're also thinking about how they're getting better at watching and observing students. They're actually making active connections between daily practice and the long-term goals, the larger curriculum goals that they're expected to make.